Thank you for that fantastic performance from Cavan Town Comhaltas. Hello and welcome to the Léargas Gathering. I'm Terry Cole. I work in the Strategic Engagement and Communications team here at Léargas, and I'm delighted to be your host for today's online event. The Gathering is our annual cross-sectoral event where we share insights and opportunities in European programs, including Erasmus+, European Solidarity Corps, eTwinning, Apale, and YouthWiki. Today is also Europe Day, and there's no better way to celebrate the spirit of unity and cooperation that brings us all together as Europeans than with this special event. As an organization managing exchange programs between Ireland and Europe, this day is at the very heart of our work. Now, because this event is being recorded, we've taken some measures to avoid those Zoom hiccups that we all know happen from time to time. Video cameras and sound will be turned off for the duration of the event so you can hear all our fantastic presenters loud and clear. But that doesn't mean you won't have the chance to engage. Please make use of the chat box. Our moderators will be able to respond in real time to any tech issues should they arise, and they'll be sure to pass along any program or funding queries to the Léargas team, who will have the opportunity to answer them later. Now, I'd like to do a quick roundup of the agenda. We'll start by hearing from inspiring speakers who will share a little more information about what Léargas does and just how our programs have a transformational impact. At 11 o'clock, you'll head into one of the 3 breakout rooms led by our Léargas team. Room 1 is First Steps in Programs. This is great for any newcomers to Léargas or European program funding and will be a top-level intro into all of what we have on offer. Room 2 is Next Steps in Programs. This is for previous participants or those with existing projects looking to explore more options. Room 3 is Storytelling and Sharing Project Results. This workshop is perfect for anyone who has an active project and wants to learn a little more about how to share their work and impact. You were asked to sign up for one of these during registration, and we'll get more to the breakout rooms a little later. Everyone will then come back to the main stage at 11:30 for our fireside Q&A, where questions shared in the chat box will be brought forth and answered live. We're certainly aiming to pack a lot into 2 short hours, so let's kick off. It's time to hear from our first speaker of the day, Executive Director of Léargas, Lorraine Gilligan. Welcome, Lorraine.
Thank you, Terry, for the lovely introduction. I'm really delighted to be here today at our Léargas gathering. The topics we see explored within EU projects are so diverse, from STEM to circus skills or youth leadership to language development. And all of these can be explored as part of Erasmus Plus and European Solidarity core stories. And throughout today, you're going to get a flavour of all of these through the video inputs and the examples that we have selected for you. And we hope that you find them as interesting and as inspiring as we do every day. We purposely changed the format for this event to try and welcome as many newcomers as possible and to be as accessible as possible with our geographic spread as well as people's time. So we know from registrations that just over 40% of you today indicated that you're newcomers to EU programs and that you're curious about opportunities, which is really positive. We're so delighted to be welcoming back those of you in organizations with established projects, and we're also hoping to have something for everybody in our short breakout sessions later on today. Altogether, we have almost 300 people joining us virtually today, more than we've ever had at our forum and our gathering events since we started them more than 10 years ago. And we're so happy to welcome organizations from across the country. And we can see that in the last year, our 2 flagship programs have covered a very wide geographical spread. In my preparation for today, I've very much enjoyed the opportunity to reflect on Léargas' achievements and milestones since we last hosted this event late in 2023. And I note that we're continuing to advance our mission of fostering international collaboration, promoting education and youth development, and facilitating cultural exchange. So I want to share some significant facts and figures with you today. In 2023, we saw a significant increase in the levels of funding applied for and awarded between our 2 flagship programs, with more than €26.5 million awarded to organizations taking part in projects for their communities. This is an increase of 47% on the previous year, with 353 EU projects realised across Ireland. Numbers are just one of the measures of our success, and many of you are behind those numbers. You're leading each of those projects for young people, for adult organizations, learners, tutors, teachers, and all of the other participants who get to take part. You're providing opportunities for what we know are transformational experiences. The forecasted numbers of participants expected to be involved in 2023 funded projects is over 10,000 people. Again, a very sizable increase on the previous year, and crucially important are those projects who indicate that they're working with participants with fewer opportunities, where we've recorded more than 60% increase from 1,997 to 3,257 participants. So these 2 graphs really clearly illustrate the increases seen in just the last year across the various sectors that we represent. This year also marks the midway point of our 2 flagship programs, Erasmus Plus and European Solidarity Core, and we're reflecting on the impact that these programs have had on the lives of the people who get to participate. We're working to deliver the full scope of these extraordinary programs across diverse communities, learning and education, and you will hear me frequently emphasize the plus in Erasmus Plus, because that's you. Last year's gathering, we launched the European Year of Skills, an awareness campaign that highlights the importance of skills development and fostering social inclusion and empowering individuals to thrive in an ever-changing world. And throughout 2023, the European Year of Skills aimed to create a fresh focus on lifelong learning while promoting the mindset of skills development, reskilling and upskilling. So in Léargas, we get to see every day how European programmes like Erasmus+, the European Solidarity Corps, eTwinning, VET Team, ePali and YouthWiki help participants to gain skills. The research shows that this skill development spans all sectors, youth, schools and adult education, having a substantial impact on all of the participants. For example, Léargas studies show that 95% of staff who took part in Erasmus Plus mobilities gained skills relevant to their role and CPD. And in a study on Erasmus Plus international work placements for vocational learners, 93% of participants expressed that Erasmus Plus increased their chances of getting a new or a better job. Of course, it's not all about employability. These skills can cross all aspects of life, be they for employability, enjoyment, or just enrichment. Our ethos of providing friendly and supportive guidance to programme applicants and beneficiaries remains at the forefront of our operations in Léargas. We take pride in our commitment to ensuring that all participants receive the necessary support to fully engage with our programmes and to realise their potential. I would like to take a moment to recognise the work of the staff team in Léargas. Since we last met in late 2023, we have very much achieved our ambition to reconnect with our projects and our beneficiaries with hundreds of events, including international training events hosted by our team across all of the sectors in 2023. As well as the local workshops and events, both online and in person. We see that these are essential to support newcomers and beneficiaries to share your experiences and to gain new insights and skills with inspiring, fun and engaging activities and workshops spread across the year. As we look to the future, Léargas remains dedicated to driving innovation, fostering collaboration and upholding excellence in all aspects of our work. In leaving here today, we hope that those of you who are already involved with Léargas and our programmes leave us with new ideas and inspirations for your projects now and into the future. For those newcomers who are curious and exploring with us today, we hope that you'll be inspired to begin your journey into the world of European programmes. In our delivery of these programmes, we have to thank DFERIS for their continued support of our work. And while there have been changes in leadership within the department and government, the current Taoiseach Simon Harris and new Minister O'Donovan understand that the European exchanges that we engage in, from sport to youth work, are vital in ensuring that these relationships across all ages and all stages, communities and collaborations continue for the next 50 years and beyond. I'm delighted to introduce Minister O'Donovan, who's going to share a short message outlining his perspectives and understanding already of our programmes.
Díomh Cardia agus Fáilte Rómh go léir. As Minister for Further Higher Education, Research, Innovation and Science, I'm delighted to join you here today. Each year on this date, we mark the anniversary of the historic Schuman Declaration, which launched a new form of peaceful political cooperation in Europe. The Erasmus Plus programme fosters cross-border cooperation and learning mobility, impacting millions of Europeans across all age groups and all stages of their journey through education, regardless of their background. Through support for Erasmus, my department is supporting enhanced education, exchange opportunities, networks and international cooperation and support for lifelong learning. The gathering is important as it is the annual opportunity to feature all of the programmes and the sectors supported by Léargas. Today there are over 300 attendees from schools, vocational, adults and community education taking part, and I warmly welcome you all, and I wish to congratulate those who already participate and wish well to those who will soon begin their European projects. From the registrations available, we can see the representation of the full scope of lifelong learning, including early years, schools, and informal learning in the community and youth work, adult education and vocational institutions. My department shares Léargas' vision for an inclusive Ireland where European learning and exchange opportunities are accessible and available to all. The role of Léargas in fostering international collaboration and exchange across Ireland is more crucial than ever. Through connecting diverse communities and enhancing our educational and vocational landscape, Léargas brings EU values and international collaboration into our classrooms and our workplaces. These connections are key in promotion of a lifelong learning mindset and encouraging a wide development of skills for employment, personal enrichment and enjoyment. With inclusion and diversity a priority, these programs invest in equal opportunities and access. I'm so proud of the work that you are doing and the work that we will continue to do together, and I wish today's event every success. Go míle maith go léir.
Thank you so much, Minister O'Donovan. That was really wonderful to hear your insights already. You're going to hear a lot more to inspire and inform you throughout this morning coming from our team, starting with the Chair of our board, Dr. John Gilmore, who's going to join us and share more about the impact of our programmes.
As Chair of the Board of Léargas, it was a great pleasure and pride that I address you at this, our annual cross-sectoral event. These type of events encapsulate the impactful work and significant achievements of the organisation as we continue to lead in fostering international collaboration, promoting education and youth development, and facilitating cultural exchange. This year, we reached a significant milestone as we approach the midway point of our two flagship programmes, Erasmus Plus and the European Solidarity Corps. This juncture not only marks a moment of reflection on the progress made thus far, but also signals a pivotal moment of assessment for the road ahead. With this milestone, we reaffirm our commitment to excellence and innovation, ensuring that the remainder of these programs continue to deliver meaningful outcomes and lasting change. It is also a useful time to reflect on the relevance and effectiveness of our programs, which continue to serve as catalysts for positive change and innovation in the sectors we operate in. As we reflect on the progress made thus far, it is evident that the work of Léargas remains as vital and impactful as ever, touching the lives of individuals, organisations and communities across Ireland and beyond. I want to share with you now some of the research we have conducted or been part of in the past year that also evidences this significant impact. Our study, Erasmus Plus, Vet Mobility as a Route to the Acquisition of Transversal Skills, was carried out late last year. Transversal skills are described as those like adaptability, communication, resilience, self-awareness and empathy, all of which I'm sure you'll agree are key to navigating our complex and rapidly changing world. These skills enable individuals to excel in diverse settings, adapt to new challenges, and connect and collaborate with others. The study highlights the opportunities for vocational education and training organisations to enhance transversal skills through participation in Erasmus Plus funded mobility projects. It examines the value of Erasmus Plus mobility opportunity as a mechanism for the acquisition of these skills for vet learners and staff. It has been continuously reported by past participants of Erasmus Plus mobility projects that transversal skills are those most valued deriving from the vet placement experience, and that the transformative benefit of these skills impact the individual and their life work. Confidence, self-awareness, and independent functioning were the skills most reported as valuable from participation in Erasmus+. As part of the Department of Education's review report for Languages Connect, Ireland's strategy for foreign languages, Léargas and our work with schools is highlighted, noting that Léargas have facilitated more than 2,000 mobilities under Erasmus+. And although the place of languages cannot currently be tracked in our current reporting mechanism, our own studies suggest that languages was amongst the top 4 themes for projects in this period. Another school-specific tool, the eTwinning platform, which allows classrooms to connect virtually across Europe, is highlighted in the department's report as having a significant number of projects involving Irish partners, focusing on foreign languages and foreign literature. This capacity should go some way to supporting the implementation of the foreign languages as part of the new primary school curriculum framework in 2025 and demonstrates an important avenue for developing additional foreign languages capacity amongst primary school teachers. On a European level, the meta-analysis as part of the European Erasmus Plus Midway Review indicates that Erasmus Plus helps to build confidence in language skills through social interactions and assign a new importance to a second language, and so significantly linked with the language skills improvement. The Network for Research-Based Analysis of the European Youth Programmes, RAY, is an open network carried by 35 national agencies like Léargas and their research partners. RAY conducts biannual monitoring surveys of the European programmes, Erasmus Plus Youth and European Solidarity Corps, and the most recent surveys were completed at the end of 2023, gathering the perspectives of close to 24,000 project participants. The research report states that participation in both Erasmus Plus and the European Solidarity Corps volunteering strengthens the appreciation of cultural diversity among project participants and promotes active citizenship, social inclusion, and solidarity within and beyond Europe. 92% of young people participating in Erasmus Plus and 91% of the volunteers in the European Solidarity Corps state they've improved their ability to get along with people who have a different cultural background through their participation in the programmes. As a result of their participation in programmes, 80% of participants in Erasmus Plus Youth and 81% of participants in the European Solidarity Corps say they have become better at empathising with others. The positive results are not just for the participants, but also the organisations. 85% of youth workers participating in Erasmus Plus Youth state they are now better able to strengthen youth-led youth work after their participation in the programmes. The RAY network found that most participants believed they'd improved their skills in several areas, including those we see as the slide here. To communicate with people who speak another language, 93%. To think logically and draw conclusions, 79%. To cooperate in a team, 94%. And to negotiate joint solutions when there are different opinions, 90%. To get along with people who have a different cultural background, 94%. They're tremendous figures and just the tip of the iceberg in terms of what we know about the benefit in participation across the board. One of the ways which Léargas, the European Commission and other national agencies across Europe recognise quality participation in these type of projects is through award schemes. One such award scheme is the European Language Label Award, ELA. Léargas has been running the European Language Label Award for 14 years now, and to date has awarded more than 100 European language labels. These awards have gone to a variety of educational, training and community groups, as well as language teachers, learners and ambassadors. And I'm delighted today to be presenting the ELA Awards to 10 such winners. The European Language Label Award aims to highlight and reward innovative initiatives in the field of language teaching and learning in any field of education and training. The European Language Label functions as a stimulus to uncover and disseminate results of initiatives in the field, and also promotes public interest in improving language skills. This year, the awardees are both Erasmus Plus and non-Erasmus Plus projects. We've had entrants and winners from right across different sectors. An early childhood education project focused on promoting the home languages in under 4-year-olds, to a primary school project looking at amplifying language appreciation in their community, to a post-primary school examining the connections between languages and belonging, all the way right up to projects from the community and voluntary group sector, vocational education and local authorities looking at educational advancements to overcome barriers to learning support learners with additional needs across language learning. Let's take a look at some of those winners now.
They use their language skills to make friends and connections.
We also have weekly English classes for parents, and our school has a built-in translation service.
We work hard to ensure that the physical environment in our school is welcoming and inclusive for all. There are posters in different languages, displays of flags, and we have a dedicated EAL room. This is where English classes take place and the committees meet. This is a real place of sanctuary for all students.
Zyski z nauki języka polskiego są takie, że można się dogadać ze swoimi rówieśnikami w Polsce. Można zdobyć sobie po prostu łatwo punkty na Living Cert.
Congratulations to all. To close, I would like to say that none of the achievements would have been possible without the dedicated efforts and unwavering commitment of our exceptional staff and board. So appreciation to them, but also to so many of you tuned in today for taking the leap and moving your work into this European sphere. I wish to all attending the very best in their current projects, or a great start on this international cooperation to the newcomers.
Thank you, John, and well done to the European Language Label Award winners. I loved those videos. Now, I'm here with my colleagues, Celine Martin, the head of Youth, Sport and ESC at Léargas, Deirdre Finlay, head of Education and Training, and Laura Austin Gray, our Senior Research and Policy Officer. In their roles, they've had the chance to see firsthand the impact that European projects can have at both an organization and individual level. Now, I have the same two questions for all of you today. Celine, let's kick off with youth first. Could you share with us some of the opportunities that are within your sector today?
Absolutely, Terry. Delighted to be here this morning. It's so wonderful to be able to share some of the opportunities. So within youth, we have a whole range of opportunities for young people, but not only for young people, also for youth workers, youth leaders, volunteers. We all know a lot about the intercultural exchange program that has been going for many, many years, but probably less awareness here today of the opportunities for youth workers to train and develop their skills, and also for young volunteer leaders to train. Particularly of interest today might be the new sports action that allows for grassroots sports coaches and volunteers to travel across Europe to develop their skills so that they can ensure that their groups and programs are really fully more inclusive to all young people in Ireland. Another little bit of information that we'll hear today is a little bit about youth participation. So we all know how important it is from an Irish context and also at a European level to ensure that young people participate in the design and the delivery of their youth services or their community projects. So we're delighted to share with you the opportunities that are in Erasmus for youth participation projects. Another amazing opportunity is Discover EU. Isn't it just amazing to be able to travel across Europe as a young 18-year-old and get the support for that? So this is definitely a must opportunity for many of our young people and youth organisations today. Later on, we'll probably hear a little bit about a bigger opportunity that's around research, practice development. So for some of our more experienced people that are here today, they might like to look at the opportunities that are in the Erasmus Plus youth and development opportunities around research and practice development. So that's pretty much a lot, I know, but we know that you'll have more chance later on to hear about those in more depth.
Thanks, Celine. And for the newcomers watching, we will be sharing these slides with you. You'll have all of this information. There's so much to cover. So that was, thank you for that overview of what's available in the youth sector. Moving on, Deirdre, could you share with us some of the opportunities available in education and training?
Yeah, thanks, Terry. So this morning we're going to hear a lot about the different opportunities, specifically under Erasmus Plus, that relate to education and training. So there are a lot of activities that will be discussed that are suitable for schools, for colleges of further education, and also community and voluntary organisations that perhaps work in the field of adult education or community education. The team will give lots of information, but some of the more new or exciting aspects that people might hear about relate to things such as something we call long-term pupil mobility, which essentially just means the opportunity for mostly second-level students to go to another European country to study for a longer period of time. So that builds lots of confidence, it builds language skills and resilience, so it's a really exciting one. We also might hear something about some new ways that we're expanding the opportunities for students in colleges of further education to go abroad. And this is called group mobility. It just means they can go in a group and they can focus on peer learning, not just skills development, and it's a shorter period of time, so that will be covered. And then over the past few years, we've been talking a lot about how our adult education program has been growing. What that means is there's more funding available than there used to be, and it used to be focused more on staff opportunities to travel, but now it also includes learners going abroad also. So that's really good. And one last thing, which I would like to mention and that I think will come up this morning, is that our programme in schools education now includes early years. So early years education and childcare settings can apply for projects so that their staff can travel to other countries. So this is all so exciting. So there's lots of different things coming up. I hope that gives you a flavour.
Yeah, that's fantastic to see that the programs are expanding into early years. Adult education, you mentioned, is growing. So great to see all of that. And something you just touched on there was about mobility. So you'll hear the words for newcomers, you'll hear mobility, mobility, mobility. It's great to get that explanation a little bit, Deirdre. So thank you so much. And moving on, we've heard about Erasmus Plus, we've heard about European Solidarity Corps from Celine and from Deirdre. Laura is going to share with us a little bit about initiatives and some projects that are outside of those programs.
Yes, so as well as these really exciting opportunities to travel abroad, Léargas also coordinates a range of different projects and networks and platforms that you can use either to prepare for going abroad, to follow up after going abroad, or as a standalone piece. And they have different platforms designed for different audiences. So say if you're a youth worker, you might be interested in the Eurodesk network, or if you're a young person, you might use the Eurodesk website to find out about different opportunities to study or to train or find jobs abroad. For our adult educators, there's the Apale platform, which has different opportunities to network both nationally and internationally with other educators, and is a great place to find project partners. And eTwinning is a similar type of platform for schools, but also allows schools to do classes online with teachers and other students abroad. So you can have that exchange over the internet in a very secure, monitored environment. And we also have the VET teams, which is a national network for VET practitioners to exchange learning and advice.
Fantastic. So many ways that you can engage, even if newcomers aren't ready to dive into Erasmus Plus or European Solidarity Corps. We clearly have other opportunities that can kind of provide a pathway into those larger programs. So thanks for that, Laura. And while we've been talking about all of the opportunities that we have, the best way really to gain an understanding of them is to hear about how they've impacted participants and how the projects unfold. So my second question is going to be to Celine, and I'd love if you could share one, I know it will be hard, but just one inspiring project from your time working at Léargas.
Absolutely, and it is hard, Terry, because there are so many wonderful and amazing projects that we see all the time. But one that struck me recently was when I met a group of young traveller women. They're from Wexford, and they had taken on last year to participate in a solidarity project. So as part of the European Solidarity Corps, there's the opportunity for young people to volunteer either at home or abroad, or to take on board volunteering projects. So these young women talked to me a little bit about the experience that they had during the project. So for them, it was a room that they wanted to convert, to make a place in their community much more accessible, to have a space where they could feel welcomed, and that they could provide a space for other young people in their community to feel welcomed. So the opportunities within the ESC programme allow them to receive the funding, really, so that they could develop a room, a space, a physical, warm, beautiful space that they developed themselves. So they planned the project, they worked together, they implemented the project, they looked after the money, all right from beginning to end. But I suppose the thing that came out of it mostly for me was how those young women saw this opportunity for them to develop their own skills. So they said they felt trusted in their community, they felt trusted by the Family Resource Centre where the room was, and that really as friends, they developed their relationships, they had fun, And they really said that their overall health and well-being was improved by taking part in this project. So it was a fabulous opportunity. And they also did mention that being young traveller women, that often they don't get the opportunity sometimes to be trusted. And that was really important. So that was amazing to hear that story as part of the Solidarity Project.
Yeah, that's a lovely example. And while we know that European Solidarity Corps and Erasmus Plus definitely build skills in our participants, it's great to see that they had fun and had connections as well. Thanks for that, Celine. Deirdre, could you share an inspiring project?
Yeah, well, I mentioned earlier on that our adult education program has expanded, so we're seeing lots more projects in that area. And under Erasmus Plus, there's one inspiring project I think it's good to mention, and that's about an organisation called INAR, the Irish Network Against Racism, who were successful in applying for what's called accreditation, and that means a longer term funding partnership with us, so an opportunity to engage with Erasmus over a longer period of time. And what they're going to do with the funding is they're going to provide opportunities for their staff and also their volunteers, because they have a big volunteer network, to travel to other countries and to learn about methodologies, training activity, and I suppose to improve the way they work here in Ireland and bring the learning back. And as I said, it's not just for the staff, it's for the volunteers too. So we know that those participants will gain a lot themselves, personally, professionally, but I also think it's a good example of how the projects are actually addressing local and national, nearly regional issues, things around social integration and things like that that are so important to us right now. So that was my inspiring example.
Yeah, that's brilliant, and it's really great to hear that that organization is accredited, because many of you will learn about accreditation today, and that's where we see the long-term impact from our projects. So brilliant. Thanks, Deirdre. Laura, would you share an inspiring project?
Sure. So I'm actually going to talk about a quite different project. It's a policy project that the EU runs, and it's called Youth Wiki. And the idea behind it is that sometimes people can find policy a little bit difficult. It can be challenging because it can be quite legalistic language used. So what Youth Wiki does is it looks at different policies and different initiatives and laws in different countries across Europe, and it explains it in very accessible language, and just makes it that much easier for people to engage with policy, both in their own country, but also to see different policies they can compare. So if you're a newcomer organization looking to start one of these projects, to start an Erasmus Plus or ESC, and you're not sure who to partner with, it can be a good place to get an idea of how different countries compare and help you to focus on your project in that way.
Wow, fantastic. That's great. I think something that seems to be a common thread in what you've all talked about is definitely inclusion, right? So inclusion from a society perspective, making sure everyone has a voice and feels the connection, and then also from a language point of view as well. So thank you so much for that discussion. It was really fantastic to hear about everything that we offer and some of those project examples. Now, when we're going into our breakout rooms, you'll have an opportunity to learn a lot more about what's mentioned here, and we will be sending those slides over to you post-event so that you'll have an opportunity again to kind of dive a bit deeper into them. It is finally time for your breakout room, and as mentioned, you have 3 rooms that you can choose from. So the first breakout room is the steps into our programs, and this is for newcomers. The second breakout room is going to be next steps in programs, and that's going to be for those who are already participating in projects and would like to learn a bit more about the opportunities. The third breakout room is storytelling and sharing your impact, and that's going to be where those who have active projects can learn a little bit more about how to share their impact and talk about their work. So you signed up for one of these at the time of your registration. You'll be automatically brought into that room after this. And any questions, or if you end up in the wrong room, just let us know in the chat feature, and one of the moderators will revert you to the correct one. Keep in mind that we will have a Q&A with those facilitators that you're going to see in your breakout rooms. So if you have any questions during your session, just drop it into the chat. All right. Let's head into our sessions. Enjoy, everyone. Thank you.